Okay, design students, for our last step here, we're going to add a talk bubble for our character, which each of you should have for your eventual design that you turn in. We're then going to look at some tips and tricks from my other characters and ways that I put stuff together. For starters, my example talk bubble has here just a rectangle, and then I pull the corners in quite a bit until it gets this sort of like rounded feel. But I leave just a little bit of straight along the sides. Then we're going to use the pen tool, and I'm going to make sure that I'm along a straight side before the curve starts. I'm going to click, and then I'm going to pull it down sort of to the right, and then again I'm going to aim for a bit here on the flat side, and then I'm going to close it. The next bit is we're going to take the subselect tool. I'm going to pull this line down a little bit and pull this line over a little bit. Now, if I really want to do this together, I'm going to unify it and then probably convert it to a path. And then we can move the shape around until it gets to a spot that we want it to be at. To add text, one of the easiest ways is to just click and type the text you want. Now, by default, if you click and drag a box, you have to worry about whether or not the text fits. But if you just click, the text will resize as you want it, and you can control it. I'm going to put some text. And then I'm going to play a bit with my settings here. I'm going to pick a font that I like. Let's see. There we go. And I'm going to do some stuff like center and maybe make the font bigger till it fills my space. If I also want the text to get close together, I can change this spacing line here, which will pull my text a little closer together. I'm going to turn back my palette back on. So let's click the background, give me my palette back, because I want my text to fit on the scheme too. I'm going to pick it and make it the same color as the background. Or maybe let's go with the orange from the overfill of my paint can there. And then this composition is basically done. If I wanted, I could give it some like a contrasting floor or something so that he isn't just floating in the air, but this would be a sufficient character design to turn in. We could, just for sake, give it a bit of a floor. Let's try this color. We want to move it to the bottom. We could then put like a little circle here to be a shadow if we wanted to, but I don't think any of that's really necessary. This would be a sufficient turn-in of our character. Make sure you save. I'm going to call this guy Paint Can 2. And you're going to want to export it as a JPEG or PNG. PNGs look very good when we're doing flat design like this. And make sure to turn it in. Next, let's go back and look at my original designs and see if there are things that I haven't showed you yet. So looking down here at these designs, there's a number of ways to make faces. They don't just have to be perfect circles. For example, here, these are just half circles that then have the border set to being circular. So this is a small circle like this with a large border, and then it is set to being a half circle, being open, and make sure on your edge here that you have the ends turned to round. So you can make happy eyes. You can also combine eyes together. Here are two circles to give this coffee cup character kind of this, caffeine stare. You can make more complicated mouths. Here I added a bunch of triangles together and overlapped them to give it sort of some angry teeth. Your character doesn't have to be friendly. Using, again, those 4 pointed stars works very well as a highlight. Here we can see, again, some overlays of the multiply layer in the background. Deciding how things are going to layer is important. It looks like the leaf is behind this one, which it is, but it also looks like this one is behind the apple, but it's not. It's just that I cut the apple away from the bottom of this object here so that it looks like it comes right up against it. The apple itself is made with the pen tool. It's actually, I think, only 2 clicks. There might be a third, but it's basically this and this. And then using your sub-select tool, pulling a bunch of these sides out, and controlling the curves individually. So each one here has it set so that they have disconnected curves, and I can pull these out and pull these ones up and around so I get this sort of like bulbous apple shape. There's my apple there. Looking at the cactus has both a highlight and a multiply layer. The highlight layer here actually is set to a different color, but we can do it again with screen to get that bright color highlight. I just saved the color over here. These little sticks pointing out started out as singular lines that then had the edges curved. You can also do them as rectangles and then pull the corner all the way. Either way gets you the same result. Here's a single pen line, and then we take the border width up and turn the end to a round. Ends up with the same result. If I make this guy a little fatter, we'll get pretty close to it. About the same. Here, it also has the added thing that I made these colors match the multiply color, which you can do even though the multiply color is overturned. The eyedropper pulls from what it looks like. So it's going to make it that color even if you and I both know that this is the same green. Actually, this one isn't the same green, but it could be the same green overlaid. It actually is. It was overlaying over the background. If I pull it off the side or put it on white, you'll see it is, in fact, based on this same green. If I turn off multiply, there it is. But the eyedropper just clicks what it looks like. So that's a quick and easy trick to copy stuff there. This is just a diagonal corner using the same color and multiply, or it's a color that I picked. It's implying that there's a shadow here. It's important to think out your style, where if I think my light's coming from here, then my shadow will be coming this way. This is just a circle with a linear gradient that fades out. This top little flower is 3 circles. 1, 2, 3, like this. They are merged together, turned into a path, and then they are copied on top of each other, as you can see here. And if you hold Alt and Shift while shrinking, you can make the whole object smaller together. I've then overlaid it like this, and we have the 2 different colors that you can use. If you want to subtract one from the other, you can again make another copy and paste of this, and take these 2 together, and do your subtraction. Then you're able to have this be a color, and the inside one be a color. Last but not least, we have this nice sort of highlight behind it. This is just a circle that has the bottom bit cut out using a big square to get that flat edge on the bottom so it doesn't show. This cool wafting to be the steam coming up. was made a very interesting way. It was done with a line, and I went up, holding shift over, and then up and over like this. Then I made the whole thing very thick border. I converted vectorized the border so it became a shape. And then I think I moved some of the vertices. So I used subselect and I just dragged these up a little bit so the top got bigger. Then I got rid of all the extra ones with delete that I didn't need. So I have just the corners. Then if you select all of these, this is another instance of dragging up on corner until you get a nice sort of clean round shape. And there's our steam from the coffee cup. This shadow is really cool because the bit of like cheek is behind the multiply layer. So this is just the multiply layer from the cup, but we put the cheek in between. And because it's in between, the multiply applies on top of different colors, giving us this really nice looking shadow. If I do it with just some rectangles, you'll see it here. Here's one rectangle. Copy it 3 times. I'm going to move one over, subtract one from the other, giving me that side shadow shape. I think it subtracted the wrong one. There it is. Make this the pink color, make this one the pink color, and then make it be multiply so it applies over the top. Now if I take a cheek, like say this one, I'm going to let's make a fresh cheek. Here's a cheek. I'm going to copy the cheek color. And then what I want to do is put it in between the shadow and the path. And you will see I can still see where it is, but it's being affected. If it feels to you like any of your shadows are too much, you can always grab this percentage here, this opacity, and take it down of this multiply layer. So here, I'm going to take it down, and as I move down, maybe around to 50, it starts to look like a nice shadow. If you do the same on the bottom, you end up having this idea where the shadow sticks to itself. Again, there's consistency of your drawing. I highly encourage you to find an object or a shape that you like. There's all sorts of stuff you can do. You can do a cell phone, a cassette tape, any sort of little plants, just about any simple object that you can draw and give some detail and then throw some arms and a face on can make a great flat character design. And I'm excited to see what you come up with.